Good afternoon, everybody, and sorry for the delay in starting. Welcome to the meeting of the Perth and Kinross Licensing Committee. I'm Bailey Mike Williamson, convener of the committee, and I'm joined by my vice convener, Councillor Ian McPherson. I'm also joined by other members. I'm also joined by other members of the committee, alongside Moira McLaren, who's the Deputy Clerk and Solicitor to the committee, Adam Taylor, Clerk to the committee, and Karen Engelberts and Shona Miki from the licensing team. Could I now ask the Clerk to confirm any apologies received to today's meeting and confirm attendance of those in the chamber and online?
Thanks, Convener. We have apologies this afternoon from Councillor Hugh Anderson and also from Councillor Crawford Reid. All other members are present and are present in the chambers.
Thank you. Could I ask if there are any declarations of interest in respect of the business on the agenda today? There are no declarations of interest. We'll move on to item 3. Could I ask if the minute of the meeting of the Licensing Committee held on the 20th of May 2024 can be agreed? Members, this application is page 9 onwards in your document pack. For this item of business, we are joined in the chambers by the applicant, Ms. Gemma Grant. We're also joined in the chamber by objectors to the application, Mrs. Kirsty Batchelor and Mr. Callum Nichol. Mrs. Batchelor's husband, Sandy, has joined via the telephone. Further objections were received from Mr. Kenneth McLaren and from a resident who wished to remain anonymous, neither of whom are with us today. I will now hand over to Moira McLaren, who will introduce the report and advise on the procedures for the hearing.
The procedures in this case is that the objectors will speak. You'll get an opportunity to speak first to your objections, and then the committee will ask you questions. And then after that, you'll get, as the applicant, you'll get an opportunity to make a submission yourself and respond to the objections, any points in the objections, and the committee can ask you questions. And then you get an opportunity to sum up what your position is, and then you yourself will get an opportunity to do that, and the committee after that will make a decision.
Thank you. Members, could I also advise, I understand or believe there are 4 photographs that have been shared. Are they online? And I'm not sure if the objectors have had a chance to see them. Okay, thank you. Could I advise the objectors, the licensing committee members have received and thoroughly reviewed a copy of all objections prior to the meeting. It is requested you keep any explanation of your objection to no more than 10 minutes. Additional grounds of objection or representation should be not added at this time. Only grounds of objection and representation included in your initial submission may be referenced. Could I invite Mr. and Mrs. Batchelor to provide details of their objection?
Do you want me to read out my objection, or do you want me to sort of further outline what within my objection, my reason for it?
We have actually read your objection already, so if you would just like to summarise your objection, that would be great. Thank you.
So something I highlighted in my objection was the process. As we're here to, the application. Is that better? Yeah. So yeah, the process, the application to vary condition 7 was applied for prior to a street trade license. The sign that was situated between two cars at 207 High Street, the variation was dated the 19th of April, but the notice appeared on the site on the 28th of April. The application is listed the 2nd of May. The actual street trader license was granted the 18th of June, and it stated no to whether you intend to trade from a particular location. But as noted, the variation to condition 7 appeared first to the public. Has the council queried the location when the application was received? The street trader license asks, please detail the person, company or firm you intend to work for, and Kitchen Creations has been listed. Kitchen Creations or Dirty Dog do not appear on Companies House. Is this standard to grant a street trader license to a business not listed? The premises address is listed as not applicable. However, again, variation 7 that came before listed the address as 207 High Street. Also, my concern is the document street trader's license taken from the council website states all street trader license applications that do not attract adverse comments or objections are required to be referred to the licensing committee. How was the street trader license granted on the 18th of June when we had no opportunity to object? This license has been applied for retrospectively, and we're here discussing the variation only. I've highlighted this timeline just for the council to please clarify this process. Can the council confirm whether condition 8, a street trader trading in foods or goods for human consumption shall display a certificate of compliance? Has this been issued and displayed? Has the Director of Environmental Service approved the foods and goods stored in connection with the business? Again, referring back to my objection, I'm concerned how cooking oil will be stored, poses a fire and a rodent risk. The smell of cooking was intense on the day there was a trial run and forced us to close our windows. Is this therefore not an environmental impact that should be considered? Can the council confirm if the applicant has a food safety certificate? And then condition 14 on the terms and conditions, a street trader shall remove any paper or refuse which may collect as a result of trading. Given we have an existing litter problem from the car wash, how will the council ensure that the litter situation does not get worse? I also raised noise. Opening hours are listed on the license that has been granted as Monday to Wednesday, 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. Thursday to Saturday, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Given the van is outside, setting up and closing down between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. will be disruptive. It's unsociable and disturbs the peace of the densely populated residential area. It is also outside the hours of 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. that the car wash is open. Last year we had issues with a loudspeaker on the windowsill of the car wash pointed at our home. How will the council monitor increased noise with a burger van? Traffic, something again I raised. Currently, the 20-mile-per-hour speed limit is not adhered to. The street is set up as a double yellow down one side and parked vehicles to the other, which creates a single lane through road. Our car has been hit. Our disabled neighbour had to install CCTV. His vehicle was hit so frequently. My husband was nearly hit taking the bins out. Just 2 weeks ago, a vehicle parked next to the van, wheel span out the car wash, and my husband had to intervene and request they stop for safety concerns. Most evenings, cars race up and down the street, trying to reach 50 miles per hour. As noted, the street is narrow, it's dangerous. Children, dogs, elderly are among the residents in this area. Parking is already a problem for residents, and the van will make this worse. Even when on the 31st of May on the Kinross Community Group Facebook page, Dirty Dog announced no orders can be taken at the van until the license has been agreed. And the top comment was, can we park 3 spaces over and you deliver to us there? Where the van is located, there are numerous cars surrounding it. The photos that he just showed were taken this morning, and there are no cars evident in that. However, there are consistently cars surrounding it. And finally, on a personal note, since my letter of objection was made public, I have received comments in my direction getting out the car into my house. I have been wolf whistled at, followed by laughter leaving my front door. I do not like confrontation. This is very stressful, just even being in this room. I left London 3 years ago to join a kind local community, and this has been the case with Kinross. It's been respectful. It has been a lovely place to live. I now feel uncomfortable leaving my home, but I'm not here to be intimidated or disrespected for voicing my objection. And I thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Does Mr. Batchelor have anything to add? Or he's on the telephone, I believe. Is that correct?
Hello.
We can hear you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much, councillors, and thank you for taking the time to read our objections and listen to our thoughts. I think Kirsty has summed up very well our collective thoughts. I'll just expand very briefly on I think the main point, which is the safety of the area. It's a densely populated residential area, albeit being on the high street. There are children, elderly, as Kirsty mentioned, disabled, and domestic animals. We're really worried about the increase of volume of traffic to the area, which is already a bottleneck, where the cars will enter and exit the burger van is already a single lane. And as Kirsty mentioned, we've already had significant problems with cars being damaged. So I think that's the main point. And yes, to reiterate as well, the sort of disappointing, I think, lack of respect that we've had from the applicants since we put in our objections. As Kirsty said again, I grew up in the area. I've lived away for the best part of 20 years, and I moved back to the area because I really love it. I love the community spirit. I love the spirit of kindness and respect. And that lack of respect, particularly when you're coming in and out of your home, is, although childish and playground, it's been very affecting. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Batchelor. Do members have any questions for Mr. and Mrs. Batchelor? Bailey Brock.
Good morning, or good afternoon, sorry. You've both mentioned regarding the safety to the area. In regard to the safety of what was there before? What was in the area before?
So shall I answer? No, Kirsty, you can answer it, sorry.
So the car wash was there. When we moved, there's an art studio there, but that's kind of not, it's there, but it's not really functioning. But it's the addition of this burger van that is going to heighten the problem for this small area. It's really compact. As I said, the street is so narrow, and already the cars are going too fast. And there's an issue with the entrance and the exit to the car wash, and where this van is, it's just going to heighten, I think, the problem of traffic bypassing on the road.
Can we not have an additional questions unless anyone else is? You also mentioned regarding vehicle damage. Has that ever been reported to the police?
So our vehicle was it was a straight insurance job where we had a hire car, etc. Jerry next door, I think he has reported it to the police where he's had his wing mirror smashed in so frequently in the 5 years he's had CCTV. But no, other than that, that's as far as I know.
All right, I've got it, Mike. Got it. Yeah. Good afternoon. Thanks for your deputation there. I'm not quite sure, Mike, how we're going to do this because a couple of things were mentioned in the deputation, and I'm going to ask, with regards to food safety certificates and checking on company's house, what is the situation with that? Where are we with that? How does that? The questions were asked. I'm just asking for some clarity.
That's not something that would be within the remit of this committee. The Environment Service were certainly consulted and didn't raise any issues with that. And the company's house, it doesn't have to be particularly a company in order to apply for a street trader's license, or I don't. That's not something that we would be considering as a committee.
I was looking for some clarity on that myself. So the only other thing I had really was, and it kind of follows on from Councillor Brock. You made mention there of people using the street as a racetrack and driving up to 50 miles an hour. Is that really something you're attributing to a burger van?
I'm happy to answer that.
Yeah, go for it, babe.
I think it's no, we're not. I don't think we're suggesting that the burger van are the people who are doing that at all. I think it's just to highlight the volume of traffic and what the road is currently used for, and increasing volume of traffic to that area, to the bottleneck area with the cars parked on one side of the road, turning it into essentially a single lane. I can't help but feel that'll increase the danger and reduce the safety of that area. I think quite a lot of the speed of the cars comes from frustration, from people having to wait for other cars to either pass through that single lane and then speeding to make up their time, or having to wait for people to come out of the car wash or what will be the burger van as well. So I think that's the reason for highlighting that area.
Certainly.
Just in addition to that, we did actually raise the traffic and the speeds with Perth and Kinross Council in February. We sent an email about this because it was already a concern. And as I said, we have seen cars leave the car wash the car literally parked next to the burger van, that wheel spun out of the car wash past our car. So there has been precedent for this to be a concern.
Thank you. Councillor Braun, followed by Councillor Robertson.
Thanks, Convener, and thank you for your presentation. I just want to clarify that you said about the burger van, a test run. I mean, is it up and running every day now, or is it just literally there's one trial and that's it?
So according to the civic licensing, they're allowed to do deliveries. So they've been open doing that. And so there has been, I can only note one day that it's really been open. And the smells that came up through the house were quite intense. And it's so close to another neighbour's property who unfortunately didn't, I don't think, get her objection in, but she's had the same concerns as us. And you know, it's a very narrow lane, and I don't want the smells coming up into my house and having to shut the windows in the summer.
Certainly.
I just want to clarify that. Are you adjacent to the property? Is that where you live, right beside it?
We're right opposite it. Yeah.
Thank you, convener. Could I possibly ask about the fact a license been granted, but you don't seem to have been aware of that happening? Is that correct?
Sorry. We were first aware there was something happening with a sign erected on the site that was for a condition for the amendment that, as I said, was dated the 19th of April, but it didn't appear until the 28th of April. And so I flagged this with, I think it's Nikki Stara. And it seems like the street trader license has been done retrospectively to the variation. And because of that, you know, the license has been granted, but we weren't, I don't think, given an opportunity to object. So it feels like we're just here for the variation, which is something I'd like clarification on, please.
At the moment, we are being asked to vary condition 7 as far as we're concerned. The license has been applied for and been granted, so it's essentially a variation. The applicant has requested a variation on condition 7, which is they don't have to move away 100 meters every hour. So they just want to make it a static caravan. So that's what's being asked for here. So as I say, the license has already been granted, so we can't review that. What we can review is just the condition 7.
Just to come on that, with the retrospective nature of it though, obviously the condition 7 is why we're here. How come we were not given an opportunity to actually object to the street trader license? That seems to have just happened and been granted 2 weeks ago. I feel that's my question, is that this entire process feels backwards, and I would just like clarification.
I'll give officers an opportunity to respond to that, but I'd like to hear all the other objectors first, then they can respond to everything as a one rather than going backwards and forwards. Okay, so if there are no further questions for Councillor Braun.
One other point, you spoke about smells coming from the burger van. What about noise from any generator, or does it pick up power from the car wash itself? Is there a generator causing noise as well, or is it just they get their power from the wash?
So currently there is a wire coming out the window of the car wash into the van, which again I would ask, is that safe? Last year there was a generator on site for the actual operating of the car wash, and it was incredibly noisy. I would also say with the addition of picnic benches being placed there, that suggests loitering, that's going to be extra noise on the street. As I said, outside of the car wash hours, which, you know, we know the car wash is there, but we know it shuts at 6, and then we get the peace. But with this van located on the site, we will not have that peace until 9 p.m.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, Mrs. Batchelor, I will now invite Mr. Nicol to provide details of his objection, please.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for hearing me today. Before I start, I would just like to broach on something that you said previously. So we've been in our house, 188. We've been there for almost 10 years now, and when we moved in, there was a car wash, and there was a motor mechanic behind them, and a bike shop, and you know, it was all quite peaceful. And as something Kirsty just said, you know, you knew the businesses were closing 5 or 6 o'clock at night, and you would have your peace and quiet, which I feel, and I've mentioned it in my letter, I feel that you're entitled to some peace and quiet in your own home, and you're entitled to enjoy your home and be happy and know that you're going to have that comfort. The hours that were posted, and they keep chopping and changing, and they actually look different in something that I've seen recently, but there were posts on Facebook that have been deleted that seem to indicate it would be open from 6:30 in the morning until 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and these have changed and since disappeared. Our bedroom is at the front of the house, our living room's at the front of the house. You can hear noise. You live on a high street, you expect a certain degree of noise, but you don't expect to have cars constantly pulling in. The noise that goes with that, doors opening and closing, people idling on the double yellow lines outside our house, with the fumes coming into the house, that would just increase tenfold if this were to go ahead. I have some notes on my phone, so I apologise if I'm looking down, and I believe I'm not allowed to raise any new points, so if I do unintentionally, please feel free to stop me and I'll move on. So I have several grievances. With the traffic, we're at the end of the high street. It's not within walking distance of most homes in the area, whereas the fast food shops and restaurants that are already in the town, that are close to the car parks, they're in the centre of the town. We're down on the outskirts, which would indicate that the majority of the visitors, it wouldn't be footfall, it would be people arriving in cars. The site itself has currently 3 businesses that I can see running from it that I wasn't actually aware of until we started looking into it because of the application. So there are 3 businesses there: the car wash, a transport company, and now the food van. There's, in addition to what Kirsty was saying about there being cars parked all down one side and double yellows down the one side, and that particular point of the road where the car wash is and the food van, the transport company, there's an entrance for the car wash on what's essentially a single lane carriageway because of the cars parked up and down. There's an entrance for the car wash and an exit for the car wash, and what appears to be now the exit for the car wash will also be the entrance for the food van. And even those photos there today, with all the vehicles removed for the photos, there are still only 2, 3, 4 spaces at most for those cars to be coming in and parking there. If cars are exiting the car wash, or the recovery van's exiting the car wash, or the customers are exiting onto a road that's already single carriageway with people speeding, I see that as a safety issue. It's directly across from my house. We have 2 young children. We've got elderly parents that visit. There's, as Kirsty mentioned, there are people of all ages. There's dogs. It's a big concern of mine, and it's a worry. There's never any parking space. That's been the case since we moved in, but adding an addition to the area, which is a predominantly residential area, adding an additional business that operates out with normal business hours, which I would say would be 9 to 5, having that extra influx of vehicles. I mean, nobody knows how busy it's going to be or how popular it's going to be if it does open, but there's still going to be an addition of traffic that wouldn't be there without it. My point, a shorter point of that being, I don't believe the infrastructure is there currently, or if it would be possible to have a business operating with the entrance being the exit to another business on the same site. And if the site's large enough to house 3 businesses that revolve around vehicles entering and exiting the site, which would then probably lead me to wonder about whether planning is in place for change of use of the site and whether highways have been contacted about that particular bit of road on the high street which is busy and there's speeding, and you know, I don't know if you could put in chicanes or speed bumps, or but then would that become an issue again for the infrastructure of whether it could, that site could house those 3 businesses? If you just give me a moment, I'll have a wee look through my notes and see if there's anything else I would like to add other than what's already in my letter. Pardon? Oh yes. Yeah, just want to expand on one point in my letter. Our boys are young at the moment. We're not looking to move immediately, but if we are looking to move in the next couple of years as the boys grow older, I think it would be an issue trying to sell the house, because I certainly wouldn't have gone for a viewing on a house that was opposite a van that is cooking constantly all day, every day, from, you know, early hours in the morning until just before you go to bed. And then there's the additional traffic that brings, will it be taking up space which is already limited for residents. So I can certainly see how that would lead to devaluation in the property. I actually have a peer-reviewed study showing that the location, the proximity of a house to a food truck or burger van can devalue the property. If anyone would like to see it, I could email it. I also feel there's a precedent for this application being refused, as I put in my letter, that there is a previous refusal from, pardon? Yes, certainly.
Previous refusal was given at a planning committee. This is a licensing committee, and we're only concerned with condition 7 and whether we should vary condition 7. Okay.
Thanks. So yeah, well, and I think just lastly, it would be in relation to noise coming from the area. Even if they were as quiet as they could possibly be, there would still be disturbance late into the evening. I feel that, you know, there's guidance on construction work and DIY in your own home and hours that you're allowed to do it, particularly on bank holidays and Sundays. I feel that if that is in place, then it should also be something, you know, that should also be considered for a business that's operating. And that's everything I'd like to say. Thanks for listening, and if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Nicol. Do you members have any questions for Mr. Nicol? If there are no questions for Councillor Harvey.
Hi, Mr. Nicol. Thanks for your quick presentation. It was very, very interesting. Just a quick question. Presently, it's a car wash. I'm just looking at Google Maps. It's a car wash. How busy is that car wash during the day? And when does it start and stop trading during the day? A normal day?
I believe, and this is just approximate, I believe that it opens at about 9 in the morning and closes at 6 in the evening. It's only been highlighted since this application, but there are new people running the car wash, and that appears to have been the case possibly since the end of last year. There have been many incarnations of the car wash in the 9 years that we've lived there, from quiet to low playing music to loud music to what we currently have, which there doesn't ever seem to be. Loud music has been in the past being played, but there are still, you know, there's noise from people visiting, particularly during the summer when they've got their windows down and the noise is up, the radio or stereo or whatever.
That's fine, thanks.
Councillor Allen.
Hiya, thank you again for your deputation. It's not easy sitting here, is it? No, say that to you all. A question for you. I get what you've said. I've listened very, very carefully, and I'm looking at faces as well. If the burger van was to close at 6 p.m, would that be something that would be more to your accord, or is it just an objection to the burger van being there?
I think the hours are just part of it, to be completely honest. It feels like it would be an encroachment, the smell coming from it, the constant visitors. The parking is already really restricted at our house. Pardon? Well, yeah, well, I mean, there could potentially be litter and vermin. However, I think the parking, the road safety, the fact that it's an entrance and exit, that is, but you know, that's I just can't see how that could work, really. Do you know, it's as I think it was Sandy that described it as a bottleneck. Do you know, there's cars constantly pulling up and waiting at either end. If you add into the mix a busy food van and the cars trying to come in and go out, and you've got that right in the middle of this bottleneck from one junction to the other. So this Smith Street at the end of the conservation zone, from there you have all the way down to the junction down by the old car auction, and there are cars constantly parked right up, and in the middle of that you have 207 with the entrance and exit. That's proposed entrance and exit. So, you know, so the car wash come in one side, out the other, and this side would be the entrance for the van. And it's it's increase in traffic and noise and smell. That's my concern. Thank you.
Councillor Braun.
Thanks, Gabriela. Thanks for your deputation again. You mentioned the last question, the car wash closes around about 6 p.m. But in your deputation, you said there was people hanging around till 9 o'clock at night. I'm just wondering what attracts people to be there to that late at night.
I couldn't honestly tell you. I don't know. I mean, as I say, there's been many incarnations over the years. Some of them have stayed late. I mean, when I'm talking about the car wash, I'm generally talking about it as my experience as having lived there for those years. And there's, you know, as Kirsty mentioned, I think there's also an art gallery on the site as well that's open late at night. Sometimes you see the lights on, wee bit of noise coming from it. I think when I'm talking about it, without intentionally doing it, I'll be generalising about my experience over those years. But I couldn't honestly tell you what the attraction would be to be there at that time of night. Thanks.
Just, if I may convey it, but at 6 o'clock, the food van closes as well, is that right? In your experience?
The food van isn't open yet. And it would be, I think there have been, I saw a document, excuse me, I saw a document the other day that said 8 o'clock. I've seen posts on Facebook that have said, from the food van, that have said 9 o'clock. That again, a document I saw that said 7 o'clock opening. There's been one that says 6:30 opening. Thanks.
If there are no further questions for Mr. Nicol, could I therefore move on to no further questions? Okay, could I move on to invite Ms. Grant to provide details of the application and respond to the objections, please?
Hi there. So just talking about the street food licence, we did apply for this before the variation licence. When I first went with the street food van, I was told that I didn't need any licensing because I was on private property, and that's why the social media post was up, because I thought I was going to be able to open because we were so far away from the road and I was on a private property. Somebody had brought to my attention that this wasn't the case, so I phoned the council and they have talked me through every step. Everything I've done has been right, has been guided by them. The variation licence notice that I've put up, I had someone out for the council, just made a surprise visit and he said it was absolutely perfect where it was. The street food licence has been granted, but that allows me to trade from anywhere in Perth and Kinross for 1 hour at a time. So the variation is for, this is the one that we're here about today, is for me being able to be situated at the same place for the hours that I've applied for. The parking spaces seem to be a big problem. So as you see from the photos, yes, there has been a lot of cars parked there, but the car wash, which is nothing to do with the street food van, he has allowed people to park because there is limited spaces. So the cars that are there are nothing to do with the car wash or myself. They're residents or the you mentioned 3 businesses running out of 1. That is not the case. The transport company, he's up the road a wee bit and the car wash does allow him to park there in the evenings, which everything's stopping now that I'm taking over. I'm renting apart from the car wash. There is space there for about 13 cars to park. I've got all the spaces next to the van, a wee bit up the side and also at the back. The car wash, I mean, I don't know why they're saying there's loud music and there's people there till 9 o'clock at night. I think what it is the guy that owns it now, he took over last year. He's a 57-year-old man. He closes at 6 o'clock and that's that. The lads that had it beforehand, they were 21 and they did have loud music and there was people coming and going and they did have a lot of people hanging around. But that was June last year. We're now on to completely different owners. And since he's taken over, there's been no carry on. I know there was a lot of police there was a lot of fighting, but that's absolutely nothing to do with what's going on now. I do have a food safety certificate. I've never had a trial run with the burger van being open. The neighbour that is right next to the food truck, I went to speak to her before there was any licensing. She had a few concerns. One of them was a generator, which I don't have. I've got an outdoor socket where the burger van will be running from. Where the van was going to be situated, the neighbour had a wee bit of concern about that. So I had asked her where she wanted me to situate the van and she's told me and that's where it is. She's absolutely happy about it. If I do go ahead and get the variation licence, I've told her that I'll put up a 6-foot fence just to keep a wee bit of privacy for her. She has got no problems whatsoever with it. So the sign, the man for the council said it was fine. The cars that are driving down past the car wash, that has got absolutely nothing to do with us. If they were coming into the car wash, they would have to slow down. If they're leaving the car wash, they would have to pick up speed. So, I can't control how fast cars go. There's a bathroom shop, which is a showroom, so he takes up parking spaces, I would imagine. I just don't see why. There's an entrance into the car wash and it's got 2 bays. They have about 6 to 15 cars, the average a day that they wash. There is no cars parked on the street whatsoever waiting to get into the car wash. He can have 6 cars in his private land before he would have to go onto the street, and there's never that much waiting. So when you come into the entrance, you would come in for the car wash or the food truck, and then you would be leaving the same way. So I don't know why it's going to cause any obstructions or. We were told that we can, with the street food licence, that I was able to do deliveries from the street van. The variation is for people coming to the truck, and I did put a post on social media and I was going to start deliveries, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then I changed my mind because I thought I would rather wait until we've been to this hearing and everything is done the way it should be. As for, I've had quite a few of the residents where the street food truck is, there's maybe, I don't know, about 6 houses up the back as well, and a lot of them have came and asking when it's opening and they can't wait to try it. So we've had objections from 3 households in the area compared to how many there is there that are looking forward to it. I think the hours that I've asked for are acceptable, but I think that kind of you guys can override that. And I can't remember if there's any other points that I've missed. So we are going to keep it clean and tidy. We've got bins. The council are going to come out and check, just like they do with every other food trader. It was mentioned here that there's businesses further up the high street that have got plenty parking. So you've got the Chinese, the pizza shop and the chip shop. There is no parking whatsoever there. If you go to the chip shop, they're double parked. The Chinese has got double yellow lines. If you go and try and drive through there at certain times in the evening, it's mayhem to get past. And as I said, we've got plenty parking. We've got enough space for about 13 vehicles. So I think that's me covered it all.
Thank you, Ms Grant. Do members have any questions for Ms Grant? Councillor Robertson, Councillor Kerr.
Thank you for your presentation. Were you surprised when you applied for your original licence that there was no objections? I'll tell you for why, because normally, from my experience, as soon as somebody applies for something like that, people are always concerned about it. So are you surprised that there's absolutely no objections from neighbouring properties? Yes.
When I applied for the street food, I've never done anything like this before, so everything was new to me. I'd phoned Perth and Kinross Council and they had sent me the notice that I had to put up, but that was for the variation licence. They had never sent me anything for the street food. So do you mean that I should have put something up for the street food, or?
Thank you, Gemma. I think I need advice from the officers. What exactly? I don't understand how a licence can be granted and no one seems to know anything about it. How could that happen?
So a street trader's licence, but the very nature is a transient licence. So there is no objection as far as members of the public are concerned. So that the licence is applied for them. It's a movable licence. So it's the person that that is being the fit and proper test. So when Gemma had applied for the licence, she's checked out. It transpired when the application came in that Gemma wanted to remain at a specific location, and that's what we're kind of up with the committee today. It's the fact that it's a variation to condition 7. So ice cream vans, burger vans, it's a 40-year-old act, to be perfectly honest, which is people's way of working has changed significantly. So we're finding that more applications are coming in for people to stay in a static location. They find a pitch that is maybe one that they can have a going concert business with. So the licenses for street traders, it's a person, and that's why it was granted. And it's transpired at a later date that Gemma wanted to remain static, hence the reason we're varying condition 7 and we're in front of you today.
The answer actually is very helpful. That's, I think, I don't know about other members of the committee, but that's clarified it for me, and I hope it's clarified it for the residents. So the licence that currently present that's been granted is to allow Gemma to trade anywhere within Perth and Kinross. But now she wants to establish a static site opposite or in that area, and that's why this is why this application's come forward. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Carr.
Thank you. One query that was raised with regards to the exit from the car wash being used as an entry entrance for the static van, but you said there that it wouldn't be the case, that there would be only one entry and one exit as part of that. So they would have to go in the same entry as the car wash and come round to where the van was. And you wouldn't get vehicles coming in from there. I'm looking at it on Google Maps at the moment, and it's not specified as entry exit routes for those for that area there. Is that something that's changed since these maps were released? Thank you.
So I can put up a entry and exit sign, that's not a problem, but it just, people seem to just know that's the way you come in. As they say, that the car wash has been there for a number of years. So there's 2 lanes for the car wash, but they normally only use one. So they use the one, if you see there, kind of closer to their office. So we're going to come from the bottom end of the high street and they're going to come in one way. If they're going to the car wash, they'll go up that bay. If not, they'll come straight on, and there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's about 7 or 8 parking spaces by the van, and there's about 5 just as you come in the entrance. So yeah, so they'll be coming in one way and they go out one way. There's no way you would be able to get 2 cars coming in and out of the same entrance. But I can make that clearer. I can get signs put up as well. And also, can I just mention, I think I forgot to say about the benches. The benches is just there. They're not recently decorated, and that's why I put the photos up. They were found in one of the sheds, and I just put them down until we get more chips laid, just to keep the underlay in place because it was blown about. But they're not. We've not planned for dining. They're just. But you'll see from the photos that they're not recently decorated at all.
Thank you, Councillor. Hold on, Councillor Brown, followed by Councillor Allen. I'll come back.
Thanks, Convener. Thank you for the presentation. You mentioned that you're picking up power from an external socket, so there's no generator. But the other concern, obviously, with these things is it smells, odour. Is there anything you can do, anything you plan to do to restrict that smell coming from the van, from an extractor fan or some sort of block to stop it? Because obviously that's a more concern probably than, I suppose, noise.
I've not really thought about if there is anything I can do, I will do it. I'd need to look into that, but they did say about dirty oil and stuff lying about. That is not going to be the case. I've spoke to the recycling centre, which is just 2 minutes round the corner, and they're quite happy to take our oil, so that's all sorted. But if there is anything I can do for the smell, then I will look into that. Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Allen.
Thanks, Convener, and thank again for your presentation today. I maybe should have asked this earlier when I was speaking to the other group, but have there been any amicable or even less than amicable discussions between you and the residents?
No, we've no spoke. We have had a couple of people come to us and ask us questions, which I've answered, and they've been okay. And I did wish that, they had came and asked us, like some of the stuff about the generator. We don't use gas either. That was a problem. If they had came to us and spoke to me about it, then I would have been able to answer quite a lot of these questions. But going on to the loud music, that is not true. There's no loud music coming from the car wash. There is not noise. There's not people shouting, hanging about till 9 o'clock at night. So I just think some of the points are, they are not valid. And the car wash has got absolutely nothing to do with the food truck either. There is not, there's not a recovery truck loading and unloading all through the night. I do believe the IPG do park their truck there sometime, but they have been told once the van's up and running that, there's not going to be any parking at all for the residents or for IPG. So, yeah. But no, we've had a couple of people come and talk to us, and once we spoke to them, they've been okay, but the objectors have never said anything. We've never had.
Okay, Councillor Frampton. Oh, sorry, Michelle.
Just to follow up on that, and thank you again. And I hear from your presentation that you've done an awful lot of work with the council and that you've tried to go in the right direction at all times. Just given some of the points that were made. I get the fact that you said that there's no noise and that finished a year ago with other employees or whatever. Is there any sympathy towards any of the representations that have been made today?
Absolutely, I do get that they've got, you know, their objections, and I do see their worries. But I will try and do everything as quiet as possible. I do have them in mind. I have knocked on the doors. I mean, they're across the road, but the ones that are straight next to the burger van, I went to them first before I had put anything up, and I have spoke to them, asked their queries. I know they've got kids, and everything that she said, I've either answered it or I've changed what I'm doing just to make. And if anybody else had came to me, then I would have done the same with them as well. I have had one lady come and say that one of the objectors have went round all the doors trying to get them to put complaints in as well. So everybody's known about it. They've seen the signs, and the majority of them are on board with it and are looking forward to it opening. So yeah, but anything I could do to help to make it easier for them, I will do.
Councillor Frampton.
Councillor Allen already asked part of my question. The other part was, obviously you said you wouldn't be using a generator, that you've got an outdoor socket. Can I ask, where is that plugged in?
It's across at the outdoor wall beside the gallery and the car wash.
I have a question. It's about, is the food already being sold from within the buildings on site? Is that already happening?
From the burger van? From anywhere? No.
Are there any further questions? Councillor Stewart.
Part of your business plan is, I want to talk about the times, the opening and the closing. Can I ask why you've chosen those times to open and close?
So we're hoping to get the breakfast done in the morning, sort of 7 till 12 during the week, Saturday, Sundays, and we just thought we would open a wee bit later on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but we are going to be doing deliveries also, and I've also got a ordering food app, so I'm going to try and encourage people to order their foods before they come down for it, so their food's ready, they're not hanging about too much, or get a delivery where like I would have a driver dropping it off. But yeah, I think there's not really much in Kinross, and I think it would just be beneficial to the community. I think they would enjoy it.
Okay, are there any further questions? If there are no further questions, could I please invite Mr. and Mrs. Batchelor to sum up?
Thank you so much. Just regarding the comments of the houses that have apparently been supportive of this application, I have here an email, from one of those houses, Katrina Carvey, who has mentioned her children both have disabilities. I don't want them to become homebound because of their anxieties to leave the house with having people outside. No privacy. Her son, who's 15, has said, I don't want people near my house. I don't want to feel uncomfortable in and around my home. I don't want the noise. So as far as I'm concerned, that statement that the other neighbours have been supportive is superseded by this argument. Further to that, the 13 cars, please show me where those cars can park, because there is not space for 13 cars. There is barely space for 2 cars at the moment, especially with the picnic area that has been created. That has taken up probably 3 to 4 spaces of potential sites. With regards to having a relationship with the recycling centre and disposing of the waste, we all know that the recycling centre is shut Tuesdays, Wednesdays, possibly a Thursday as well. So I'm unclear how the disposal of waste can be met within those 3 days. And then my other point would be that we already have in Kinross a fish and chip shop. We have La Casanova, the pizza shop. We have Sunshine Chinese. We have Cafe 98. We have Unorthodox Coffee. We have Renaissance Cafe. We have Baines. We have the Raj Mahal. I don't see why we need a burger van at the other end of the high street that is offering the same food as these institutions already offer. That would be my kind of closing response to this application.
Okay, thank you. Is Mr. Batchelor still there? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Could I invite Mr. Nicholl to sum up, please?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I would just like to respond to some of the things the applicant said. I think Kirsty has covered a couple. I think the neighbours in support, you know, it's hearsay, essentially. There were, and to mirror that, there were neighbours that I spoke to that didn't want to complain because they would have to put themselves forward in a public forum. I think, again, Kirsty mentioned it, but 13 spaces, I don't believe there to be that amount of spaces. However, it would be quite simple to look on Google Maps or visit the site to establish whether that's correct or not. And I also don't agree with the entrance and exit explanation. I think, again, you could see that from looking at the site. And again, the point about double parking further up the high street, there are plenty of public car parks further up the high street, which we don't have at the bottom of the high street, yet people still double park and park on the pavements and on double yellow lines. So I think that just really supports the point that there would be an increase in traffic and an increase in you know, parking offences. So, and I think, you know, we've not gone and spoken to her. I think in a situation like this, the onus would be on the applicant to knock on neighbours' doors and say, this is what we're planning on doing. Do you have any objection to it? Is there a way that we could tailor what we want to do to make sure you're comfortable in your own home and you're not worried about an increase in traffic or the smell coming from it, and this is what we're cooking? There's not been any of that. The onus shouldn't be on me to go over and say, oh, hi. I think, again, as I answered one of the questions, when we're talking about the car wash, I mean, there wasn't an announcement to say that the ownership had changed. When we're talking about the car wash, or when we're talking about the site, actually, we refer to the site as the car wash because that's what it's always been known as. And again, my answer to one of the questions was, when I talk about it generally over the time that I've lived there and my impression of it and how it has been over the years. So we're not necessarily attacking somebody personally when we talk about the car wash. We're talking about it as a general business that has been there for the last 9 years that I've known. I also believe that the applicant might be a director of IPG Recovery, so knowing that, you know, the way it was spoken about, you know, could it not just be said that yes, this is my business and it's not run from here. There have been cars unloaded at certain times of the day and night. It's not a frequent thing, but it's still disruptive when it happens in the middle of the night. And I also disagree with the fact that the notice was on public display. It wasn't public facing out into the street. It was facing towards the car wash internally. And in fact, we wouldn't have known about it if our childminder hadn't sent a screenshot from Facebook to say this is what's happening across the road from you. And at the time, I think the screenshot indicated that it was opening at the end of April, is what the post had said. And I think it maybe so please stop me if I'm crossing lines of committees, but if there are 13 spaces, I believe that that requires planning permission. And if you have 13 spaces, yeah, I believe that you have to have toilet facilities as well and clearly marked parking bays. And the bathroom shop's not really relevant as he lives around the corner for his parking. And as I say, there were different versions of events from other neighbours, and it becomes a bit he said, she said. I think just in summary, my main concerns are the parking, the disruption, the smell, not being able to enjoy the peace and quiet of my own home. Thanks for your time.
Okay, so the picnic area, as I've mentioned already, there is no picnic area that's going to be taking up 4 spaces. We'd be quite happy for you to come out and have a look. The recycling centre is closed on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, but we would work around that. IPG, me being a director at IPG, I did have involvement with IPG. I am not with them anymore after a marriage breakdown. I have absolutely no connection with that business at all now. There is a car wash. There's 2 mechanical businesses. In this area, there's a guy there that makes summer houses. There's a bathroom shop, which customers do come and have a look at the bathrooms. There's a furniture repair shop, and there is the art gallery, and there's also talks of putting in beauticians and hairdressers in one of the units. So it is quite a busy place with businesses. It's not just myself that's going to be there. And as I've said, it's got no connection at all with the car wash. There is public toilet facilities there. And the sign was facing out onto the road. It was between 2 cars, but the way that it's worded as though it was hidden there, it wasn't. It was parked there because IPG did use a wee bit of parking. As I said, we did have somebody out from the council, and he said that it was situated fine where it was. I did say that I was opening in April, but I have explained that I did think that I didn't need a licence, and as far as I know, the notice was perfect for everybody to see. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Do members wish to adjourn for further discussion? Yes. Okay, going to adjourn for a few minutes.
Convener, can I just confirm that my colleague did attend the premise and appeared to be content with the notice when it was displayed. Just wanted to make that clear. So that had been checked out.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time. My motion is to grant the application. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Are there any amendments to the motion? Councillor Allen?
I have an amendment. The amendment is that on the basis of this application, it is clear that this is an application to make a transient business into a static business. On that basis, I recommend allowing the licence variation until 6 p.m. at the latest Thursday, Friday and Saturday.
Okay. Councillor Robertson?
I'll second.
Councillor Robertson?
Thank you, Convener. I move that we don't grant the variation of condition 7. I actually see this as a backdoor way of taking what is a business which has got the ability to trade all over Perth and Gnos and make it into a static fast food takeaway, which in a residential area, always gives me cause for concern. So on that basis, I would move that we refuse the variation of condition 7. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Front?
Second that.
Okay, thank you. Could I now hand over to the clerk to carry out a roll call vote?
Sorry, Councillor Allen, can I just get you to clarify exactly what the wording of your amendment was? It was just a bit quick to get it down, I'm afraid.
On the basis that this application on the basis of this application, it is clear that this is an application to make a transient business into a static business. On that basis, I recommend allowing the licence variation, but until a maximum of 6 p.m. on the days that they were looking to operate till 9 p.m.
Okay, so we'll now go to a roll call vote. Because we've got two amendments, we will set the first amendment against the terms of the second amendment, with the winner of that amendment going on to against the motion. So the terms of the first amendment proposed by Councillor Allen, seconded by Councillor Chan, is that on the basis that the application is, sorry, it's a clear application to make a transient business into a static business, to allow until the maximum of 6 p.m. on the days that they were looking to operate until 8 p.m. with the second amendment proposed by Councillor Robertson, seconded by Councillor Frampton, which is to refuse the application to vary condition 7. When I call your name, if you can indicate whether you're voting for the first amendment or the second amendment. Councillor Allen.
First amendment.
Councillor Braun.
Second amendment.
Bailey Brock.
First Amendment.
Councillor Carr.
First Amendment.
Councillor Chan.
First Amendment.
Councillor Frampton.
Second Amendment.
Councillor Harvey.
Second Amendment.
Councillor McPherson.
First Amendment.
Councillor Robertson.
Second Amendment.
Councillor Stewart.
First Amendment.
And finally Bailey Williamson.
Abstain.
I have 6 votes for the First Amendment, 4 votes for the Second Amendment with 1 abstention. So therefore the First Amendment moves on to be put against the motion. Again, when I call your name, if you can indicate whether you're voting for the motion or the amendment. Councillor Allen.
Amendment.
Councillor Braun.
Amendment.
Bailey Brock.
Amendment.
Councillor Carr.
Amendment.
Councillor Chan.
Amendment.
Councillor Frampton.
Amendment.
Councillor Harvey.
Motion.
Councillor McPherson.
Motion.
Councillor Robertson.
Amendment.
Councillor Stewart.
Motion.
Finally Bailey Williamson. I have 4 votes for the motion, 7 votes for the amendment. Therefore, the amendment carries.
Okay, thank you. So your licence has been granted subject to the amendment, which is a variation on the opening hours till 6 o'clock. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Thank you. Okay, members, we now move on to paper 5, which is on page 33 onwards of your document pack. For this item of business, we are joined in the chambers by the applicant, Mr. John Fallon. We're also joined in the chambers. We're not joined in the chambers by the objector. Just see. I would also like to introduce the top table. We've got various members of the. I'm Bailey McWilliamson, convener of the committee. I'm joined by my vice convener, Councillor McPherson, Moyna McLaren, who's the deputy clerk and solicitor of the committee, Adam Taylor, who's the clerk of the committee, Karen Engelbert, and Shona Meeke from the licensing team. I'll now hand over to Moyna McLaren, who will introduce a report and advise on the procedures for the hearing.
Yes, what would normally happen here is that the objectors would speak to their objection first, but I don't think the are the objectors present today, Karen? In which case, the committee have had an opportunity to read the objection and consider the objection. So from your own perspective, this would give you an opportunity to explain, why you're applying for the license and to respond to, I assume you've had an opportunity to read the objector's letter and really respond to the objector's letter, and then the committee could ask you a few questions, and then you could just sum up what your position is, and then the committee would make a decision after that.
Okay, could I please invite Mr. Fallon to provide details of his application and respond to any objection?
I'm retired. I thought it was a good idea to do Airbnb from my modest bungalow in Rumbling Bridge. I didn't have a lot of success in doing it, and it was mainly family and friends that I rented out the house. But I started getting real customers, and that's when I realized I was going to have a proper license to do this, so I applied. The objections, which I didn't expect to happen, were made by my next door neighbour, and they were made 10 days before he moved, so he no longer lives there. I thought that was a little bit spurious, frankly. But nevertheless, he has made an objection. Shall I run through the list to respond to the list that they've made? Item 2. Yes, I'm advertising my property in various places. Airbnb, Knockhill, etc. The golf at Glen Eagles. Anywhere, as you would do with a normal business, you would advertise your business to wherever you're going to get the customers. Yes, there's a garage. It was available. I have deleted that because I've decided that maybe it's not a good idea to have people welding cars up in my garage when I'm not there. So that's no longer on the site. I refute entirely that there's any disturbing of peace. That just doesn't happen. I have had, last year I've had 8 guests through in the whole year. Not one, they've all given me 5-star reviews. They're not people who are going to make lots of noise. It's not an area for clubbing and youngsters. It's mainly retired people, cyclists from Holland, workers, and the occasional person that wants to attend a sporting event at either Knockhill or other up to play golf. I don't see that there is any objection. I'm not aware of any noise, and the complainant didn't make any comment to me about there being any noise issues. And I find it quite surprising that we're here discussing noise issues when this is the first I've actually heard of it. My house has 2 driveways, and my son has a little hobby business converting a certain type of car into, it's a niche market. He converts them into electric cars, and there were body shells lying around the side. I don't think it matters what I put round the side of my house. It could be a caravan, it could be a boat, it could be a horse box. If the neighbour didn't want to see it, they should put up a hedge or a fence. But they didn't do that. They just continued to moan about what was on the other side of the fence, whatever it happened to be. Prior to them moving in, I had a Kubota tractor on a trailer in exactly the same place, and they made no comment about that whatsoever. With regard to the word vernum, I'm not even prepared to respond to that. It's not in the dictionary. I don't know what has the complainant been contacted to ask what they actually mean. I'm sorry, I have to be pedantic here because the process is very detailed. The requirement to get PAT testing is very detailed. It cost me £1,700 to get the electrical certification done because the builder, his electrician, had not connected the ring main. So we had 2 spurs with a 32 amp breaker. The electrician was there for 3 days, so to dig a hole in the floor to go down to check all the cabling to comply with the regulation. Now that's a good thing for the requirement to have everything tested to make sure everything is absolutely safe. I can get that entirely, but it did cost me £1,700 for 8 guests. This year, I haven't had a single person. I've had a number of inquiries, but they've all been asking for, do you have a license? Well, I don't have a license because I'm waiting on your approval for that. So for this entire year and for the future, this whole year has been completely written off. It's cost me £1,700 for the electrical certification, plus the gas tests and all the other tests and box ticking exercise that is required for this. And I haven't had a single guest this year. Rumbling Bridge is a bit sort of dead end. You know, it's off the tourist trail. And it's really, you're getting the crumbs from Edinburgh, really, is what you're getting. However, back to the plot here. Noise. There hasn't been. I'm not aware of any noise. If there was any noise, they could have asked me. They could have commented, but they made no comment whatsoever until they made this objection. This is the first I've had of any noise issues. So I don't know what this is all about. I really don't have any more to say on the matter.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Fallon. Do members have any questions for Mr. Fallon? Councillor Robertson.
Convener, given the fact that the objector is not present, they have moved away, I think we should actually grant the application.
I think we need to consider the application first, Councillor Robertson. We can do the motion afterwards, okay? We have to go through the process, Willie. Are there any further questions? Oh, sorry, Keith, I didn't see you over there. Sorry.
Okay, thanks, Convener. Thank you for your deputation and your honesty. I mean, do you actually live in the house? And if you, so where do you go when somebody comes in?
I live at my girlfriend's house, if you didn't hear that. I'm 71 and I have a girlfriend. Thank you very much.
Are there any further questions? I'm sorry, are there any further questions for Mr. Fallon? Councillor Stewart.
Can I just clarify, is it 1 bedroom that you rent out?
I rent out the whole house. I'm not there.
Could I just say you've applied for 1 bedroom, but 4 guests? Where do the other 2 or 3 sleep.
That appears to be a slight error. It's 1 bedroom that will now be rented out for 2 people. I think that's what the application was for. I only take 2 people. If it's 2 people and they want 2 separate rooms, they've got the whole house to use. But I think the license I've applied for is for 2 people, and I would stick to that.
Application does indicate 4 maximum guests in 2 bedrooms, but if that is something that was incorrectly inputted, that is something we could correct if it is meant to be 1 bedroom and 2 guests.
I can't actually remember what I paid for. If it is 4 guests at 2 bedrooms, then so be it. I'm unclear on that actually. There are 2 double beds and 2 bedrooms, which are available for rent. But it's normally just 2 people. That I don't think I've had any more than 2 people at any one time.
I think we need to get some clarity on what you're applying for here, because if it's 1 bedroom and 4 guests, that's a completely different matter. If it's 2 bedrooms, 4 guests, then that's a different matter. If it's 1 bedroom and 2 guests, that's again a different matter. So we really need to know, what do you want to apply for here?
It's 2 bedrooms and 4 guests.
Are there any further questions for Mr. Fallon? If there are no further questions for Mr. Fallon, would you like to sum up, please?
Mr. Convener, could I comment further? I noticed in this process, in the second paragraph, where it says relevant licensing policies, that the aims of the licensing scheme are to ensure all short-term lets are safe. Now, there has been disagreement between myself and my former neighbour, which is probably why we're all here discussing this today. But the houses all have LPG tanks, and the LPG tank of the former neighbour's house has been compromised by the construction of a permissive development, which takes the wall of that permissive development less than the required 3 metres from the tank. On the other side of the building is a log burning stove with a flue above the gas tank. And my comments were that in the evening, a still evening, you can see the sparks from the flue coming out from the log burning stove, which cascade down over the LPG tank. Now, I've had to tick every single box to get this application correct. And I feel I just have to bring this to your attention, that in terms of the general what is safe for the public here, whilst my house is now entirely safe, the ring main is safe, the house is safe, my gas is safe. Next door's LPG tank, I don't believe it is safe, but it may be out with the scope of this panel. Yeah, well, I'm just for clarification for myself, I'm just bringing this to your attention. That's fine.
Is that you summed up? Okay, then. Do members wish to adjourn for further discussion? Okay, my motion is to accept the application for a short-term license. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Allen or Councillor McPherson, either of. Okay, are there any amendments to the motion? If there are no amendments to the motion, you've been granted a short-term license subject to the conditions we discussed earlier. Okay, thank you.